ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. Very good evening to all of you.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Invoking the great Lord Dakshinamurti, the entire Guru Parampara, my Paramaguru, Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji, and my other gurus who have guided me in this path of spirituality, Swami Paramathananda ji, Swami Sadatmananda ji, Swami Shankarananda ji, and all others who have been my gurus at various periods of time. I invoke all their blessings, and we start this talk or series of talks on Vedanta basics. These talks are being organized to commemorate the 90th birth anniversary of Swami Dayananda Saraswati, which was celebrated on the 15th of August. And to commemorate that occasion,
मम्मा को कॉल किया करो, फिर मम्मा के थ्रू इसको बोलना पड़ता, आप इसी को कॉल किया करो सीधा, ताकि ये आपको डायरेक्ट बता पाए कि क्या हुआ है मम्मा को.
And to commemorate that occasion, I have also launched a website of Aarsha Vigyana Nidhi today. So the link of the website has been posted in the group, and you can visit that if you have not already done. Before I enter into the subject, I would like to briefly share with you the reasons for my starting this series of talks. Swami Chinmayananda, I hope you have all heard his name, who is the guru of my guru, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, gave his first public talk in the year 1951. And this was held on, to be precise, 24th of December 1951 at Pune. And the topic of his talk was, "Let Hindus become Hindus." Way back in 1951, he felt that Hindus are not Hindus, and which is true even today. Because most of us are Hindus by birth, but we are not Hindus by spirit. To be a Hindu by spirit, we should know at least something about Hinduism, what Hinduism stands for. In fact, we should know something about Sanatana Dharma, which was what the original name of this Hinduism. Hinduism is a name given to us by foreigners. The word Hindu you will not find anywhere in our scriptures. We find only Dharma, and that Dharma is Sanatana Dharma. That is what the original name of our religion or way of life was. So beginning from a very glorious tradition and a Vedic way of life, somewhere down the line, we lost touch with our own culture and our own traditions. People started taking to variety of traditions, variety of beliefs, and then variety of religious and spiritual practices, with the result that today we are all a totally confused group of who call themselves Hindus without knowing much about Hinduism at all. Of course, it's a very general statement. There are exceptions. There are people who know about a lot about our culture and our tradition. But in general, I'm referring to the common man. If you ask him about Hinduism, he will give his own idea of what Hinduism is. So the essence is that this Vedic lifestyle, which was a really wonderful lifestyle, we lost that, and totally we are a confused lot today. And The other point was the Vedic scriptures were in Sanskrit. And somewhere down the line, we lost touch with Sanskrit also. With the result that today, if you don't know Sanskrit, and that too very good Sanskrit, you can't read any of the scriptures, you cannot understand what is written there, nor interpret their meanings properly. And this, according to me, was the start of the downfall. When we lost touch with the Sanskrit language, we became strangers to our own culture, in fact. And this was a very fertile ground for the foreigners to invade us, be it the Mughals or the Britishers, and implant in our mind their culture and, from our point of view, inferior thoughts. And today, that's why all this confusion is there in our minds. So there are different ideologies, different philosophies, which are not aligned in any way to the original teachings or Vedic teachings that are from Sanatana Dharma. And so we don't have any idea of our glorious past. Even our own educational system has got totally changed in the last 300, 400 years. And even after independence, we have followed the same system which was given to us by the British, and which doesn't talk anything about Vedic scriptures, about Vedic lifestyle. Even Vedic mathematics is not taught to our children in our schools. And so this is a sort of, a totally confused situation all Hindus are. And that is the reason why people are able to attack us, intellectually also, and trying to, tell us that, Hinduism is all about superstitions and idol worship and things like that. And because we ourselves don't know what is the reality, we try to fall a prey to all these, these tactics, and people get converted into other religions. So all this basically has happened in the last 300 years of British rule. I would call it colonization of India, right? And this colonization, what happened was the Indians were broadly divided into two groups, right? You can say the convent educated Indians and the non-convent educated Indians. So the non-convent educated Indians, since they did not have any touch with Sanskrit, even though they were not exposed to the, the convent kind of education, still they did not have any idea about their own religion. And of course, the non-convent educated actually became anti-culture. In fact, many of the people who are Hindus, born Hindus, but talk ill of Hinduism are such people you will find who are from the the convent educated group. So essentially, today, what we have is, 1 minute, what we have is a Western mind in an Indian body. That is what we have today, right? And this continues even today, and that needs to change. If India has to really progress in all fronts, and fortunately we have a very good leadership today, if we have to progress, if we have to bring in harmony in the society, then the only thing which can guarantee that harmony is the Vedic way of life, or the Hindu way of life, the values that we have cherished for thousands and tens of thousands of years. That is what we require today. So these changes have to start. And fortunately, many Indians today have started thinking like Indians, and a lot of education and classes are going on, trying to tell people about more and more about our own culture, our own traditions, our own philosophy. All these things are happening now. So that's a very good sign. And on the other side, there are still people who look down upon our culture, our values. And as I said, this we need to promote our culture. We need to explain to our own people who are Hindus, what exactly Hinduism is all about. And for this, I can give you a lot of examples. One classic example, which many of you would have come across, is this: whenever we come across an obituary, we get a message that somebody has passed away, whether in WhatsApp or in Facebook or anything. What is most of the people, how do they react? They will add RIP, right? RIP, rest in peace. This is such a thing because they don't have any idea about our culture. In our culture, there is nothing called rest in peace for a departed soul. It is a Christian concept which, because of our Western mind in the Indian body, we continue to adopt that style and say RIP. For Indians, for Hindus, the right expression to be used is Sadgati. May the departed soul attain Sadgati. Sadgati means let it travel from this body to another body. Let that travel be without much difficulties, without much travails. And also let the soul get a more a better body than this particular body in its next birth. And that is all because Hinduism does not believe that our life and our existence ends with this with our the death of this body. So all these things many people don't even know, they don't understand. So there is a need to explain all these things to the people who call themselves Hindus, right? Another classic example which I've heard from a talk of Swami Mitrananda of Chinmayananda Mission, he gives a lovely example of sage Narada. I'm sure all of you must have heard the name of Narada Muni, right? Now, this sage Narada is known as Deva Rishi, right? He's a Rishi of the Devas. So you can understand as an exalted scholar of the highest order. And he was such a great person. Let us see some of his glories, right? In fact, in our scriptures, sage Narada is personified bhakti. He personifies bhakti in our scriptures. And in fact, he has written or he has composed a text called Narada Bhakti Sutra, which the Bhakti, Bhakti Yoga people use it as the central text for how bhakti is to be, how devotion has to be developed, how devotion has to be practiced. It's a very wonderful text. This was written by or composed by sage Narada. This is one of his achievements. And also in Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story. This sage Narada goes to Sanat Kumara. Sanat Kumara is the son of Brahmaji. And Brahmaji is the one who has given all the Vedas. I mean, through whom all the Vedas have come to this world, to us. So this Sanat Kumara, he goes and requests him, "Oh master, please teach me." So Sanat Kumara knows Narada very well. And he also knows the accomplishments of Narada. So he says that, "No, what do you want me to teach you? In fact, I know that you are a scholar and you know so many things. So if you tell me what all things you know, I can teach you what is missing, right? Now, my computer laptop is showing lack of power. So just give me 2 minutes. I will just connect it to the what's that, power cord. Well, just give me 2 minutes. I'll just stop the video, but be on the line.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, sometimes technology, gives us all problems. Okay, so I was telling you that Sanat Kumara asks Narada what all you know, and Narada starts off, and this is all there in Chandogya Upanishad. He says, I have studied Rig Veda and I am very proficient in it. I am a master of Yajur Veda. I know Sama Veda. I know Atharva Veda also, right? Then he says, I know all the Puranas, I am an epic, all the Mahabharata, Ramayana, everything I know fully well. I know Sanskrit grammar also very well. I'm a very advanced practitioner of grammar. There is nothing unknown to me. I know about mathematics, I know about ethics, I know about politics, I know astrology, astronomy, I know augury, I know all the limbs, the Vedangas, the 6 limbs of Vedanga. I know the physical science. I know music. I know arts. I know even dance. All this I know. But all this knowledge has not given me freedom from sorrow or misery or grief. And I've heard from people a lovely sentence, Shokam tarati atmavit. That means a person who knows the self crosses the ocean of grief. What is this self which is being talked about? Because despite all this knowledge I have, I am having a lot of grief. I'm having sorrow. So I have come to you, great master, to learn what is this self, what is this Atma Vidya, which is also called Brahma Vidya. So he actually approaches Sanat Kumara with a lot of humility to learn. Even though he was such a big scholar, he knew everything. Still, Narada went to him. But the point is not, what he wanted to learn. The point is how much he knew. What was his knowledge? What was his scholarship? What was his accomplishments? This was Sage Narada's, story in Chandogya Upanishad. And it does not stop there. Our children are not told that it was this sage Narada who actually inspired sage Valmiki to write the Ramayana epic. Ramayana, I'm sure you all know, is the first epic in the world. Now, sage Valmiki was, his background, he was a bandit. His name was Ratnakar. He was a bandit and he used to live by killing people, looting people and all that. It was a very big, problem for a lot of people. So sage Narada goes to him, talks to him, convinces him that his ways are not right, and introduces him into the spiritual path, right? And that is why he asks him to just meditate on 2 letters, Rama. He tells him, you just sit down, close your eyes and say Rama, 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 Rama. Go on saying it. And then you will get rid of all your bad qualities or your bad vasanas. And Sage Valmiki, from a bandit, he got converted into a spiritual master. And he gave the first epic to us in the form of Ramayana. Now imagine the dynamism of Narada to go and talk to a bandit, in fact I would say the terrorist head, and then convince him and convert him into a spiritual personality. This was Sage Narada's accomplishment. Do we tell these stories to our children? I doubt. In fact, I have not heard these stories from my own parents. Then there is also a story. Veda Vyasa's name we all know. Who was the one who actually worked on the Vedas, and whatever form Vedas we have got today thanks to Veda Vyasa. Now this Veda Vyasa, having written Brahma Sutra and all the 4 Vedas he had actually worked on, Narada went to him and told him that all these things that you have done, Vyasa, is not sufficient. Nobody will understand. We are going to enter into Kali Yuga. And in Kali Yuga, you will face all these problems that nobody is going to understand this, what you are trying to convey through these teachings. So he suggested that you convert the messages of these Vedas into a simpler form, in a story-like form, so that in Kali Yuga people will love the stories, and then they will be able to get some messages out of that. So that is the background for Veda Vyasa to write all the 18 Puranas, including the Bhagavata Purana. So today, if the Purana story is like, especially Bhagavatam is famous, it is thanks to Narada, Sage Narada, who inspired Veda Vyasa to write the Puranas. This is another, 2 great personalities, intellectual giants in our culture, Sage Valmiki and Veda Vyasa. Both of them were inspired by Sage Narada. So this is his dynamism and his skill, right? Now, how many of us know all these things, are even reminded about all these things when we take the name of Narada? Today, when we talk about Narada, what comes to our mind is a mischievous character who goes around confusing people, pits ones against another, etc. This is how Narada's character is portrayed in films, and this is what we teach our children also, that he is a troublemonger. Wherever Narada goes, there will be a fight which will follow. All those things is what we tell. We never take the trouble to teach our children about the greatness of this Narada Rishi. So this is one important thing, that needs to change. We need to teach our children, the glories of our own, scriptures. And for that, first of all, we have to know what those glories are, right? We make fun of Narada by labeling him as a troublemonger, etc. And all this why? Because of the Western mind in the Indian body. And this has been deliberately done during the colonization era in order to make the Hindus actually hate their own practices, their own religion. This is how the mindset has been changed by the colonizers, right? And there is one more example I can give you. If suppose someone is laboring a point and he is going round and round and round and round in what he wants to convey, what is the expression we use? We will tell him, stop this Ramayana and come to the point, isn't it? Now, Is that something, is Ramayana is something like, a boring or a, a long-winded thing? That we say that because we don't know what Ramayana is, what is the glory of Ramayana. We tell our children of Rama going to, the forest and things like that and all, and the fight within Ravana and Sita being kidnapped and all that. But what is the message behind all these things? We never say. What are the cultural values? What are the traditions that these stories, these epics try to convey to us, whether it is Ramayana or Mahabharata or any Puranas you can take? We ourselves don't know, and we are not able to even convey it to our children, to tell it to anybody. And that is why we have casually brought the greatness of this epic to a matter of ridicule. That is a very sad state of affairs that we are all in. And this is what I meant. Our own heritage, our own beauty, things which were so universal. In fact, 2000 years ago, there was only one religion, one practice in the whole world, which was Sanatana Dharma. There was nothing else 2000 years ago. And this Sanatana Dharma has been there from beginningless times. Nobody knows when it started. All that thing has completely been, I would say, spoiled in the last 2000 years since the, other religions started coming into the picture. So Narada is one example, Ramayana is another example. We can go on talking and take so many examples, but the point is this, that we Indians need to regain our glory. It's high time we put a stop to all this and remove this Western mind from our mind and bring in the Hindu mind into our minds. Our books, our concepts, our tradition, our culture should be taken to the people, should be explained and interpreted correctly to the people. So what we require today is to decolonize our mind and go back to the roots and interpret our scriptures correctly. And those who call themselves Hindus have to become really Hindus. That is what we need to do now. And that is one of the main reasons why I thought I will start this series of talks. And it's not possible for anyone to cover the entire scripture. So whatever little that anyone can do, and if different people take up different areas, then one can cover a fairly large portion of the scriptures in terms of teaching people and making people more knowledgeable about all these things. So this was the one of the reasons why I started. Now there is one more reason I will say. After completing my long-term course on Vedanta and Sanskrit from one of the premier institutes in India, in fact I would say in the world, which is Aarsha Vigyana Gurukulam, started by Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji, which is in Coimbatore. I studied there. It was a long course, 42 months residential course I spent there after my retirement. I started teaching Vedanta in the year 2018 with a view to sharing whatever little that I have learned, I can share with people. And when I started teaching, I realized that so many people are totally ignorant about our scriptures. There was a person where I was staying in Coimbatore. He was a friend of mine, acquaintance, and I used to see him in the temple chanting Veda mantras and things like that. So one day he saw me in the lift and says that I heard that you are teaching Vedanta to a few people. I said, yes, I started Vedanta classes. You know what he asked? What is the difference between Veda and Vedanta? I was shocked. I said, this fellow chants Vedas, he knows about Vedas, and he's asking such a question, what is the difference between Vedas and Vedantas? That means he has learned some mantras and he's chanting without any understanding of what this is all about. So this is one instance where I felt that, the ignorance of the people about all our scriptures is surfacing. Then there was another guy whom I met. He asked me, see, the scriptures say that God is everywhere. So if God is everywhere, why should I go to a temple? This is another question somebody asked me, rather, right? But these are questions at a very basic level questions. There are more questions at an advanced level, at a higher level. As human beings, we have been endowed with the capacity to think, isn't it? We have a free will and we can think a lot. Intellectual capacity is there. And those who have this intellectual capacity also have a curiosity, which makes them ask questions like, why I was born? What is the purpose of this life? Why are we suffering? What is the reason for suffering in this life? Why are some people who we see as, doing lot of bad things or, troubling people and all, they are enjoying? Whereas some noble people, peaceful people are suffering in this life. Why is all this happening? Is there a God? If there is a God, where is he? Is there one God or many gods? And if there is a God, whether he is a he or a she? All these questions are there. And I can go on saying a lot of endless questions are there like this in the minds of people who have got this intellectual curiosity, right? And I'm sure that all those who have these questions will be very happy to get convincing answers for all these questions and many more questions. And the good news is that our scriptures, mainly the Vedas, and all our other scriptures, like Puranas and Itihasas, everything, are all based on the Vedic teachings only. All these scriptures contain answers to all such questions. In fact, I would even go to say the convincing answers if you have an open mind. So I propose to address some of such questions through these lectures, and that is also a reason for starting this series of lectures. Now, in this series of lectures, starting from Saturday, the 22nd of August, I will be addressing some important topics like about our religion and culture, like what is Sanatana Dharma, what it stands for. In fact, the word Dharma in Sanatana Dharma is a very, very important word. So what does that word mean? That one. And then what are the goals of the human life as per our scriptures? How should we go about achieving those goals? What is the scheme of the scriptures itself, the scheme of the Shastras, as we call? What is this law of karma that everybody talks about, but hardly anybody knows anything about it? There are so many such topics rather. So maybe, in each talk, I will try to cover one topic. This will be about 10 to 12 talks which will be there. I'm just giving you a rough idea because it will depend upon the speed with which we go. And we will enter all these topics from Saturday, the 22nd August at 7 p.m. And my humble request is that please log in about 5 minutes early so that we can spend 5 minutes in, settling down, and we can start the talks at 7 o'clock. Today being the inaugural class, we will stop here, after a few minutes. And then regular classes, regular sessions will be for 1 hour, 7 to 8 p.m. And if you want, you can also bring some notebook. If you want to note down some of the points, it's like going to be regular teaching in a classroom, except that I won't be able to see you all and you will not be able to speak. Having said that, if any of you have got any questions coming in your mind during the course of the talk, I would suggest that you use this chat function in this Zoom application, and post your questions on the chat function. And after the class is over, I will review all the questions and I will, try to explain if or clarify the doubts which some of you may have. So this is what I wanted to, let you know today as the inaugural class. And I thank all of you for attending this class. And we will meet on 22nd August, Saturday. Now, there is a small request. Some people who have actually joined the group, they just requested for joining the group, and we have admitted all of them. But we would like to have their email ID also. So if any of you here who have not given your email ID or telephone number, anyone will do. You can please, stay back, and after we end this talk with the end the prayers for conclusion of the talk, you can just give me those numbers. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. We will meet on Saturday.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Thank you, Ganapathy ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ganapathy ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Thank you, Ganapathy ji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ganapathy ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Thank you, Om ji.
Thank you.
Ganapathy ji. Hari Om.